Welcome everyone to theCUBE here at our New York Stock Exchange studio. I'm John Furrier, Dave Vellante. This is part of our AI Factories series. Got a special guest here, Vice Chairman, Chief Operative of Dell Technologies, Jeff Clarke, legend in the industry. Jeff, great to have you back on theCUBE here in our new studio. Thanks for coming in.
Yeah, appreciate you coming down.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Iconic location. The AI Factory is the hottest content we have right now. It was a great vision. We started with you guys on this. It's now basically large scale systems. It's the whole discussion. And so you just wrote a predictions post for 2026. I'm sure that's in there. What's your take on this market right now as the year comes to a close? AI factories are hot, edge is coming fast, speed game.
Well, we just finished our Q3 where we announced $12.3 billion in orders in a single quarter, which was a record $30 billion year to date. Pretty extraordinary compared to last year and the year before. This is year three.
Yeah.
Year three, we shipped $1.5 billion, or excuse me, year one, $1.5 billion, year two, $10 billion, and we just updated our guidance for this year to $25 billion. I think that's indicative of the demand environment. Our 5-quarter pipeline continues to grow. It's growing across all types of customers, from neo-clouds to sovereigns to enterprises. The number of customers that have bought Dell AI Factories is over 3,200. In our pipeline there's over 6,000. So I think momentum's pretty good.
This is good.
Are there any cracks in the demand, picture? I mean, is it across the board? Is it compute, storage, networking, sort of the whole thing?
Well, Dave, the last time we were together, we talked about this memory thing.
Yeah, well, okay.
This memory thing is an unknown.
So that's going to create just more demand than supply, right? I mean, more of an imbalance.
I don't think we know yet. The AI segment has never been through such a change in input costs. The others are seasoned veterans at it. But when we ultimately get to it, and I talk about it in my predictions, token growth continues to explode. Token growth continues to explode. You got to have token processors. Token processing machines are GPUs and the computational assets that go with that. So it's hard to imagine it slows down, but it's something we're certainly going to watch. You ask what could be a change, there's one.
You know, you guys made a great bet. At Dell Tech World last year, we chatted on theCUBE. I quoted this with Michael too when he was on just recently. You guys made good bets and you highlighted that on theCUBE. The numbers are good. Revenue's up. It's not like you're cutting costs and just driving for profitability. Top line's booming. But the AI factory and the demand for tokens, that's funding the new scale data centers, small, medium, and large. All data centers are growing. Hybrid, another great bet. The bets keep rolling in. 2026, what's the prediction, bet, win this year? What's going to come home for you guys? Is it hybrid? Is it?
Well, look, I think I talk about 5 different things in terms of what I think are the logical evolution predictions that go along with this. And the first and foremost is speed. And what AI does with speed, and it becomes the new competitive advantage. And I think about our company, so I can give relative examples of how we're using AI and what it's speeding up. We now have digital twins in our engineering environment. Our ability to simulate, understand multiple iterations of how to design the cold plate in these things, the CDU in these things, has accelerated, and our ability to understand that at greater detail. I think about the speed at which our sales force can access information. We built an internal tool called Sales Chat, which is basically a prompt-based, ask it a question and you access all of the company's information about its products and services and serves that up in a crisp answer to our sales force. We've saved them hours a week in searching for information. Speed, 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 and it's reshaping, I think, the competitive basis. And Inference is at the core of that. And I think you have to have a flexible architecture inside enterprises to take advantage of that, because the tools are changing. Another example would be AI coding assistants. We've deployed one and we already know we need to upgrade it, and it's with new tools that are coming at an accelerated rate. You need a flexible architecture that's agile, pull that out, put a new one in, and just keep going.
When you meet with customers, I know you guys, you and Michael and the executive team said, we're doing this, we're all in. If we don't do it, we're going to get disrupted. When you meet with customers, are they as tuned in to the urgency and the mandate? And how hard was it to do what you just described? You know, your sales, I know you guys work on things like next best action. I mean, some fairly sophisticated AI capabilities that may be tougher for mainstream enterprises. What are you seeing out there?
Well, I think you have to look at it. The largest, most sophisticated companies in the world see this, see the opportunity, are embracing the technology, and are rapidly deploying it and getting return on investments. Inside our company, we've embraced it. We've talked about the modernization of the Dell company. We're well into that, 2.5 years into it, and we're seeing real return on the investments to the point that we will accelerate more capability here. And we have yet to scratch the surface, which I think is the next level, which is agentic. And then what we're seeing is increased proof of concepts by enterprises, and are walking away as there's a there. That there is an opportunity to see a return on their investment. There is an opportunity to ultimately drive higher levels of efficiency, productivity, or back to what I described, speed. One of the ways that Michael describes this, I'll be directionally right, I won't remember the exact numbers, but the global economy is roughly $120 trillion. 2/3 of that is roughly service-based, so we'll call that 70+ trillion. How much would you spend to have 10% productivity on $70 trillion with the benefit $7 trillion? Likely a bit.
Yeah.
That's the prize
anyway.
that's out there across the smallest businesses to the largest multinationals in the world.
On the enterprise side, one of the things we're seeing is, obviously the AI Factory has been great for the large scale deployments. Enterprise is going to open up really fast this year with agents. Thoughts on predictions there on on-prem activity? Any signaling you're seeing? Fast acceleration, mid-year? Certainly the enthusiasm right now and confidence is much higher than it was even a year ago.
Sure, I think the first step is along the lines that AI is driving, I think, a fundamental infrastructure change in enterprises. And there's the traditional way we've computed traditional workloads, stable workloads, generally block data sets that are very stable, and we've become very efficient at managing that. Now we look at what I call accelerated computing, the AI era, and it opens up with, well, containers, it opens up bare metal, it's unstructured data, the data is not very predictable, it's created all over the place. So I think the way we view this is there is a partitioning of the architecture, and within the architecture and the accelerated computing, you're going to see a continuum of cloud-based tools to on-prem based tools, in other words, hybrid.
Yeah.
And you'll see data sets that are very important, need to be secured, need to be triaged in real time where latency matters. There'll be a tendency to do those on-prem, and there'll be data sets that are less sensitive, that are massive scale, that need that compute power of the cloud, and they will use the cloud. And that continuum, I think, is very logical, and that extends all the way to the edge. Yeah. That's how we believe it's going to be built out over the next handful of years. And now we got to talk about agents. Agents are exciting. They drive a lot more tokens, which there's this circle that it's. Man, I've been at this a long time. Yeah. We've talked about that. I've never seen anything drive as fast as this. So you ultimately have a new architecture driven by this incredible new capability that the more you use it, the more you want it. And the more you want it, and the more you use it, you come up with new use cases, and the more use cases you look at and you extend out, you look at now agentic, and the currency is tokens, and now you're connecting the substrate of companies together, or of your company together and its processes. It's unbelievably powerful.
It's a great innovation flywheel for sure.
Given that continuum, that spectrum that you just mentioned, which seems like getting richer and richer and richer and widening, there's of course this narrative around GPU cycles that will compress, which is not necessarily a bad thing for Dell, but what are your assumptions on that? I mean, given that it's such a rich continuum, will like today's training infrastructure become tomorrow's inference infrastructure? People are just going to dispose of the existing infrastructure and accelerate refresh? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I think mileage varies by our customers, right? It's very much business model specific. Depreciation cycles play into this, and there is no one answer that I could give. What I can tell you is these have long lives. Again, my best source of examples are our own company. Our AI coding assistants are running on Dell PowerEdge servers with A100s in them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So there you go. You're not going to just throw those out.
It's a 6-year-old part that is incredibly capable, that runs our AI coding assistant infrastructure. Now there's more than one of them. So there's a few of them over there in the data center that I didn't have to go retool, that we created space for, had the cooling and power for, and it runs our coding assistant infrastructure.
And that's a depreciated asset, or it's still driving utility? So
correct.
You're making productivity off of that.
Absolutely.
It's a great.
So that's an example of, I know for our company, what we've done.
It shows the new kind of stack that's emerging, because some use cases might not need GB300s. Some could have nice compute, good capabilities, and then the GB300s is going to open up those new token use cases. Any insight into those use cases? Like what's the big gear being used for the most in the factories? What's the big,
well,
the tokens, they're pumping out the tokens and they're processing.
Clearly large scale training of these foundational models is compute intensive.
Yeah.
And then inference of that at different companies is tremendously large scale. But most of the use cases for enterprises is, again, I look at our company, we're, I think, very indicative of that. You're going to run a use case for your developers. You're going to run a use case for your sales force. You're going to run a use case for your service organization. In our case, content. And our fifth use case is the supply chain. And you can begin to look at those use cases, which starts with the data. Now you have to look at the architectural considerations of network, storage, and compute. Build a balanced architecture. Get the data set, look at the workload, and then begin to ultimately run inference, which I call is AI in production, to get the outputs or outcome you're looking for. That's how companies, enterprises are going to deploy. It's not go pile me up a bunch of clusters or a big cluster with a lot of GPUs in it, to be clear about it. It's what's my use case, what's my computational workload, what's my storage requirement, how fast do I need to feed it with my network infrastructure. Okay, I understand that. That's how we built our use cases.
You know, I love to throw back and look at some of the old Dell Tech Worlds. Go back to maybe 4 years ago, if you guys had it right on core cloud core edge, you had the whole end-to-end thing. But now if you modernize where you are now with the factories, everything's changed, everything's scaling up, so great vision, you check the boxes on those. I have to ask you, because I asked Jensen Wong this last Thursday, and Michael also talked about it when he was here. The edge is going to produce some intelligence, and AI Factories produce intelligence with tokens. Smaller LLMs are out. You're seeing people work with different kinds of language models, foundation models, but the edge is where the action is for the access. End users, retail outlets, a lot more edge factory use cases coming. What's your prediction and vision on the intelligent edge? I mean, you could almost see if a Dell factory plugging into a retail outlet, connect all the wireless, hyper-converge the edge, and you now have full factory intelligence.
So that notion of continuum that you referenced 4 years ago, I think is still the architecture in today's AI world. You got cloud, you got on-prem data center, and you have the edge. And as we look at the edge, you know, it's a great example just over our shoulders or over your backs here of edge environments. So we think these micro large language models, or small language models, whatever you prefer to call them.
Specialty models,
Well, they get task specific. So that's, I think specialty is the right way to look at it. They get very task specific. So you have a task specific model that's optimized to do one thing and one thing very well, and it tends to be open source in nature. And you begin to craft a software developer's world, a mechanical engineer's flow therm world. You can begin to build that model and that capability specifically for that task. That's where I think this goes. All the signs point to that. So you have this computational need on the edge, and if you really want to extend that, then we can have a number of agents on your computer. on the edge, and those agents are going to be local, requiring an NPU or some form of accelerator to do that, plus the language model work. I mean, we just keep on coming up with more use
computers.
cases.
They're computers that are high performing.
They're just computers, and the need to compute is growing. As the tokens growth is nuts, continues that way, and it extends all the way to the edge to the PC.
And so 2 years ago at Dell Tech Summit, you laid out the case for what I called at the time enterprise AGI. In other words, not chasing, the Messiah AGI, all-knowing, but really in the enterprise, smaller language models, more efficient, specialized models.
Correct, doing largely inference and some micro-tuning or fine-tuning.
On your proprietary data. Okay, you're doing that. Presumably your customers are doing that. What do you need to do that? You mentioned kind of open models, open source, open weights. I don't know, do you need training data? What do customers need to actually bring in, train those models, ensure that it's proprietary, govern it, doesn't leak, it's got to be secured. Where are we at in that whole cycle?
Well, you're going to love this, given our many storage conversations in the past. Where's my darn data? What is it? Is it clean? How do I ingest it in these things? And then how do I use it to get the outcome I'm looking for?
Who does that at Dell? Is that just got a storage team? You got a bunch of data scientists? You have, is it line of business people?
It's a combination of such. So we have a three-pronged storage strategy, private cloud. I'll go to the other one, cyber resilience. The middle one I skip, which is why I skipped it, because I want to talk about it, is the work we're doing around the AI data platform. So now think of the AI data platform as our unstructured assets, so you would know them as ObjectScale and PowerScale. You would know it as our new parallel file system that's now in the hands of customers in beta, Project Lightning. The work that we're doing with NVIDIA around KV cache to speed up inferencing. And then the data lakehouse, which is how do you ultimately help customers ingest their data, is how we're helping customers. And that's a combination of capability around our product businesses and our service organization.
Talk about the physical AI piece, because in your roadmap, you guys presented at the investor meeting, I think last month or the month after, I can't remember which month it was.
It was October.
AI, agents, and physical AI was kind of the
That's the progression, yes
sir. Physical AI is right around the corner. Robotics is a super hot category. There's low-hanging fruit use cases. Where does the physical AI start to click in? How do you see that progression, transitioning or connecting?
Look, so as a physical AI evolves, and whether it's these types of robots or that types of robots or types of drones or other types of automated carriers or things, I think our role is when they're done for the day and they plug in and they say, I did all of this today, and here's what I learned today, and the model that they're built from gets updated, gets retrained, and then spews out back, here's what you'll do tomorrow from what you learned today. That computational side of it, that training side, that tuning side, that learning side, storage, compute, networking, that's where we play. So imagine in the autonomous driving world, cars plug in, here's what I learned today, here's the mistakes I made, it gets translated. That same sort of physical infrastructure is going, or the same infrastructure is going to be needed for physical AI, and I think that's a role we can help many companies with.
Are you going to have an OEM deal with the car manufacturers for a little chassis data center piece in the chassis?
Oh, you're killing me.
You are working on that. I mean, you're starting to see like cars being retrofitted for computing, networking. I mean, they have all the instrumentation. I mean, it's a rolling factory at this point. It's a driving.
I think the way to look at this is the technology is going to be immersive. It's going to be in many platforms. It's going to change the way we live, change the way we work, change the way we entertain ourselves, ultimately shop, buy, all of those things. I'm sure it'll find its way in many different products and services.
So you know a little bit about PCs. You talked at the financial analyst meeting that you guys are going all in on consumer. I wonder if you could talk about why that's important to Dell, number one, and number two. I mean, I remember when HP decided to split And I said, oh, that's interesting. Now there's one company that has an end-to-end supply chain. What does that matter? Why does it matter? What role do PCs play?
Well, PCs are a very important business to the company.
Yep.
And it's our most capital efficient business, if you don't know. By far.
Really?
Oh, by far. Its working capital dynamics are extraordinarily good. And when you think about it, it's also a scale business.
Yep.
Scale matters. Give or take, there's 280 million units in the PC industry. It's really hard to be in a scale business if you're not really working in half of it, and consumers roughly 45% of the units. So if you're looking for scale, and scale is a differentiator, and scale is a differentiator in cost, it makes sense to play in a broader swath of the market than a narrower swath in the market. And while we have prided ourselves to being the premium space and in the commercial space, there's still a lot of space by definition that I didn't cover. That's why talking about being in the consumer business is important. It's scale, it's capital efficiency, it's the brand reaching new users. New users that are going to make their way in their workforce need to see a Dell.
You can move faster too on product lifecycle too. You can move faster on changing products.
Oh, without question.
And that's a huge risk management piece.
Test technology, get technology in, get it out, get to the next innovation, drive the innovation in consumer at a much faster
So your
pace.
competitors miss a quarter or miss a decision on product, miss the market, that takes them sideways. You guys have that ahead.
Sure, any of us are susceptible to the same challenge, opportunity, or perhaps a mishap. For me, it really is about driving the scale business. If you're going to be in the PC business, then you need to compete. You need to compete in all of it, not some of it. If you're going to compete in all of it, that means you're in consumer. If you're going to be in consumer, you need to play to win. If you're going to play to win, you need to move with speed. You need to innovate. You need to have access to broad product coverage. You need to be able to have a simplified brand strategy and communicate your value proposition with marketing. That's what we're focused on. That's what we're doing. And it really fills out the edge, because there's going to be task models on consumer PCs. You know, some of the best content creators in the industry are working on consumer class PCs.
Jeff, I have to ask you, just go back a few years. I remember the conversations we were involved in with you guys around the AI PC. It wasn't obvious back then what the use cases would be for that. What do you know now, looking at going into 2026, the role of the AI PC will be? Because it's evolved, there's clear lines of sight. You mentioned a few of them. You're going to be doing calculations on your PC device. They'll probably be talking to a model, maybe in a hybrid environment. What have you learned on the AI PC that maybe that's now clear? That wasn't clear maybe 2 years ago.
I think in the coding development, in the engineering side, the hard sciences side, you can actually see the use of AI in models and some of the engineering tasks and development tasks. The broad application, we've not got to that killer app. That's what we need. Now what's interesting, or what I think is important, is we're seeding the marketplace with a bunch of AI-enabled PCs, waiting for that killer app. They have NPUs in them. They have very capable accelerators in them. So how do we now utilize that? Again, been at this a while. It's not
the browser wars are back, but they're not. They're in the PC.
Well, it's
Perplexity new browser.
It's not uncommon that hardware leads software. So as the killer app is there, you have an install base now of increasingly AI-capable PCs. I'm excited by that.
Maybe it goes beyond the browser, to your point. And then if you look at the productivity comments you were making before about Michael's, 115 trillion global GDP, if you can take what we're getting with coding and then bring that to other disciplines, right, that's where you're going to get that productivity hit.
Now think of native natural language search. Gosh, wouldn't you like to talk to the darn thing and it finds your stuff?
I would.
It does it like that? Versus what did I write in 2008? Last week?
Well, the AI infrastructure is super hot right now. You guys continue to do well. Congratulations on the business performance and the product leadership. Again, we're thrilled to partner with you guys, and thanks so much for your support.
Thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Great
Thanks,
coming in,
fellas.
man. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Jeff Clarke in theCUBE at our new NYSE studio. It's part of theCUBE studios in Palo Alto and California, and also here in New York City, connecting tech and Wall Street. I'm John Furrier, Dave Vellante. Thanks for watching.